Hello and welcome to episode 2 of our CloudOne series. My name is Eduardo Rivera, and I'm going to talk to you guys about CloudOne. All right, well, welcome back. In our first episode, I talked a little bit about what CloudOne is. It's a solution within NetApp IT that we use to provide, I'll call infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, container as a service, all of us as service things that we provide our internal developers so they can do the work. But today, I want to talk about one of those specific services, the one that we call CloudOne DevOps as a service. And to do so, I brought with us Ed Wang, who works for me in my organization. He's responsible for this service and all the things that go into it. So, hey, welcome, Ed. Thanks for joining us.
How's it going?
Good. Ed, you want to tell the audience a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure. My name's Ed Wang, and as Eduardo mentioned, my team is responsible for what we call DevOps as a service. Interestingly, if you were to kind of go Google, a description of what we do, what you'll probably find is this term called platform engineering, which has been kind of thrown around nowadays. I don't think I'm going to change the name anytime soon, Eduardo, but just in case the users want to, or the audience wants to kind of do an apple-to-apple comparison. But again, my team really focuses on providing the platform and the automation to allow a developer to be able to rapidly both develop code and also deploy code into production.
Yeah, and it's funny about the name because when we first came up with it, I thought it was sort of like silly, right? DevOps is not a thing you can sell or buy or whatnot. But yeah, we called it DevOps as a service. And again, I think it's grown on me. I kind of understand it, but let's deep dive a little bit into that. Why is it called that? Why do we call this DevOps as a service? What's the philosophy behind this?
So, if you were to kind of look at the DevOps paradigm, it was built upon you build it, you run it type of philosophy. And that has really evolved. Think of yourself as an application developer, for example. What you're really good at is developing applications, coding and deploying applications. What you may not necessarily be as good at is taking care of everything else that is needed in order for you to do that application development work. So, for example, the infrastructure that your application is going to run on, the development tool, the CI/CD pipeline automation, potentially stuff like the elasticity that's required to scale up and scale down the capacity. All that stuff needs to be taken care of by somebody. And instead of having an application owner kind of take care of that whole thing, DevOps as a service really offers the capability so that the application owners and the application developer can focus on just the application development piece while we take care of everything else.
So to summarize, you tell me if I'm wrong, but it sounds to me that what we're building is this platform capabilities with all the bells and whistles that will empower a development team to do DevOps, right? To go and build their applications rapidly, deploy rapidly, and not worry about what's behind the scenes, because that's what you guys are taking care of.
Yeah, it's really kind of that next level of DevOps maturity, if you kind of think about it, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, so tell me a little bit about what is actually being delivered. So you mentioned a couple of things here, but specifically, what are we delivering to this service?
So first of all, you have to think about it as a package of capabilities. It's not just, hey, I'm going to build out a platform for you to run Kubernetes on. It's not just a ability to run CI/CD pipelines. It's not just a ability to do code development. It's really a collection of everything. With that, obviously it's a never-ending process as far as what the application owners need to be more efficient, right? So what do we offer today? So for example, we offer a lot of tools, both tools that we built in-house as well as leveraging commercially available tools. Building out the CI/CD pipeline, we have this thing called a self-assist portal where the application owner can go do many things. If they're using containerized applications for the first time, there's documentation there for them to look at to be more familiar with how that will work. Along the same line within that self-assist portal, they can check the health of their application, check the health of some of the shared services that we provide, there's really a long list of capabilities that's being provided to our application development community in order for them to kind of do that work of developing applications.
So if I heard you right, I hear like so there's documentation and instructions on how to do things within the environment. There's the Kubernetes and containerization platforms that you manage. There's application stacks that run upon that. There's integration with cloud with CI/CD pipeline that we manage. So it's a lot of things, right? And all presented through, I guess, a catalog, right? The application developer logs on, clicks, and gets all these resources automatically. So how does this all work? How do you do it?
Well, first of all, there's a lot of integration involved. But if you were to kind of look at the experience of an application owner, let's say that I'm an application owner, I want to build out something on CloudOne DevOps as a service for the first time. What I would do is I would first of all go to ServiceNow. That's where our front end portal is built, and I would fill out a form with stuff like name of the application, the sizes, the infrastructure that I need, et cetera. Click submit, and lo and behold, I get something that's ready to go for me to start coding on. Now, one thing I forgot to mention, as part of the offering, we provide a lot of pre-built application stacks and databases. So, for example, we have Nginx, Node.js. I think we got almost about a dozen application stacks today. Along with that, a lot of databases. So MongoDB, for example, if somebody wants to build out a MongoDB stack, they can again go to ServiceNow, say, I want to build up MongoDB, click submit, and the database is ready for them to use.
So it's both application and database stacks, on demand, if you will, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. So speaking of the services, right? So you mentioned Node.js, Nginx, MongoDB. I know we have others in there as well. They keep growing and contracting as needs come and go. But what are the other parts of this that make it all work? What are the other, I guess, integrations that are in this platform?
So because it's really focused on application development. A lot of the capability that we focus on talking about has to do with those areas, right? So the CI/CD pipelines, et cetera. But there's another whole other piece that people don't think about, which is the infrastructure and the platform itself. So, for example, we leverage Terraform to be able to rapidly spin up new clusters as they're needed. So all that coding is also done by our team to provide that auto scaling, for example. So it's kind of interesting because if you kind of think about an application developer, their job is to write a lot of code. What people don't recognize or realize is that from a platform engineering standpoint, my team also write a lot of code. The difference is, while the application developers are writing code for products that maybe a NetApp consumer or a NetApp customer may use, we're focusing on writing code to build out products that our application developers use.
Right. So when we talk about, there's an industry term of infrastructure as code. That's kind of what you're doing, but maybe you call it like platform as code, right? You're automating all this stuff and creating all this, objects and infrastructure components that then empower the application developer to do their application development.
Yeah, and interesting you brought up infrastructure as code. That's something that we definitely started developing in that area. So for example, our infrastructure, today when we patch, we don't actually patch. We kind of take the mutable infrastructure approach to things, where instead of patching existing servers or existing images, what we actually do is we blow the old ones away and basically just create a new template and replace them with the new updated image. And that offers us, a lot of advantages over the traditional way of patching, et cetera.
Right. So that's actually a great example. So if I understand what you're saying correctly, right? Among the many things that we do to maintain the environment is maintain, or attack vulnerabilities, right? They happen, right? Things show up and we have to patch or we have to install new versions of software. But in the case of the environment that you're managing, which, on the back end, you're talking about Kubernetes and containers and whatnot that run on top of worker nodes, which are virtual machines, those themselves will have vulnerabilities that need to be addressed. And when you wrap in the automation that you talk about, unbeknownst to perhaps the application developer, you are killing off virtual machines and creating new ones with all the new patching already built in, a new version of that OS being released, and you automatically deploy it to maintain security in the environment. And all that happens behind the scenes through automation that your team is developing and that is maintaining.
Yeah, and I think you kind of mentioned the key word here, which is transparency. I don't want my application owners to know that, hey, there's stuff going on in the background. They shouldn't have to know, right? They shouldn't have to know what's happening with the infrastructure. They shouldn't care where their stuff is running. It should be, hey, I'm using this platform and it's just going to magically work. And that's kind of the goal we kind of set out for ourselves as far as how we want to build out and develop this environment.
Well, and you mentioned something there I wanted to ask you about. So it's like they shouldn't worry about where stuff is running on, but where is it running? Where's all this stuff running? Where are all the parts and pieces that make up this environment running?
Today, we're focusing on using AWS as a hyperscaler, and we also have a on-prem environment that sits within our own NetApp data centers. So really kind of taking the hybrid cloud model. So today we have presence both in AWS West, AWS East, again, as well as our own data center. And within each one of those regions, we have clusters that are focused on non-production environment as well as production environment. And then we further break down the production environment into highly critical versus run-of-the-mill applications. Mm-hmm. So they're all kind of broken out. And going back to that whole patching process, when we do implement the new images, we start with our POC environment, then the non-production, then the non-critical, and then the critical, just in case there's something that we didn't catch during the testing phase, that we can catch it along that way.
Right. This is always a method to madness behind the scenes, just to make sure that we're safe and that they're doing the right thing. But again, it's transparent. Like you don't really see it as a user in the environment, which I think is fantastic. And the other thing is that they kind of tee you up for that. But yeah, it's hybrid cloud, right? We're building this on top of public cloud, on premises, and again, it's transparent to the end user, which again is one of the original goals of what we intended to do with this environment. Mm-hmm. Now, speaking of goals and desired outcomes, I think we mentioned a little bit about it in the earlier. I'll repeat it and may tell me a little bit more about it. But it sounds to me that the ultimate goal is to provide all this complex infrastructure in a simple way, so the developer can just focus on developing. Is that right?
That's absolutely correct. Our singular focus really is to provide that transparency. The application developer focuses on application development. We worry about the rest so that they can focus on just that.
What are the results? What have you seen as a result of the creation and the implementation of this solution?
I think the fact that our trajectory as far as the applications that are running on CloudOne DevOps as a service is constantly increasing. That's always good news. That means people are using it, people are liking it, people are telling other people about it. So that's always good. As far as the applications that are already running on there, the feedback we've gotten is that they are able to more rapidly deploy updated code, right? So, really right now with our automation that we put in place, a developer can update their code, merge it, merge the code, and as fast as 20 minutes later, they can actually see that code being reflected in production if they choose to. So that's one.
And I'll say to that though, it sounds. I mean, this is something that when we talk about DevOps and releasing code and being, having speed, I think this is not new. This has always been a goal of the DevOps, we'll say, organization and approach, and to them, but and to the developers that participate on that. But being an enterprise organization that has 30 plus years of history and technical dev and data centers and whatnot, it's no small feat, right? To pivot from very traditional types of deployments and application development to what we're trying to do here today, right? So all the new application developer, we're trying to push down this road with these capabilities to provide that speed and get away from the 6-month cycles of development and deployment, right? And I think I want to point that out because I think a lot of our customers are similar, right? We have a lot of customers, our large enterprise organization, a lot of things that are traditional and maybe difficult, and sometimes I will speak for ourselves, right? it was difficult to know where to start to provide that ramp up for new cloud aware applications. I think this has done that for ourselves and for our own application developers. So I think that's fantastic. I mean, the speed of the deployment, the speed of even providing the resources, it is night and day for us.
Yeah, absolutely. I started my NetApp career as the Unix manager, and I remember part of my job also at the time was to do new system deployments. And I remember actually my first day at my job, my boss at the time came to me and said, "Hey, we got about 100 server build that's backlogged, and congratulations, you're the new server build guy as well." And so I spent the next few months just trying to figure out how do we do that more efficiently, right? And fast forward, I'm not going to date myself, but fast forward many years, we're at the point where instead of talking about, hey, you got a backlog of all these tickets for system builds, now it's, somebody needs new resources. Here's the portal. Go in there, fill out the form, click submit, and you have your resources 30 minutes later.
Yeah, it's just a click of the button, and you have it in a few minutes after no real build up.
Yep.
Yeah. No, that's great. So just to wrap it up, I want to ask you. So we talked everything about what is CloudOne DevOps, what it does, what are the components that make it happen. But what's next? What's up next for the platform and I guess the users of that platform?
Yeah, so we actually have a lot of different things in the pipeline, as far, no pun intended, but we have a lot of things in the pipeline as far as what we want to where we want to take things next. I'll kind of touch on a few of them. One of the things that we're working on, we're trying to wrap up on is the whole automated workload migration, if you will. So whether it be migrating from one cluster to another, whether it be doing on-prem to AWS, or somewhere down the line, maybe AWS to one of the other hyperscalers, to have that ability to be able to easily, with the that was easy button, if you will, to migrate workloads from one place to another is something that I think will be quite useful for the future. So that's one of the big ticket items that we're working on. Some of the other ones, we're really kind of focused on leveraging Kafka today. Again, this is through conversations with our partners on the application side of the house. Just kind of looking at what they want to do in the future. And we believe Kafka is going to be a powerful tool for the future of NetApp applications. So that's something that we're also focusing on to implement Kafka into our CloudOne environment.
Yeah, so there's lots of data protection, perhaps application resiliency and migration features, as well as now like messaging features right through Kafka that allows us to build better and more interesting application stacks. Well, Ed, I can't thank you enough for joining us today and talk to us about CloudOne DevOps. Maybe we'll have to bring you back in, and maybe we'll talk more deep into some of the other areas. Perhaps even we'll have a whole episode on the pipeline itself, talk about the pipeline and whatnot. Hopefully, it's been interesting to our viewers. I think it's I'll say it's a conversation of what can be done, and I always like to remind people that we're never done, right? We're always kind of improving and building more and trying to get better and better. This is something that's been developing for a couple of years at this point. It's now functional. It's giving us some real value, and we expect to continue it. Any last words, Ed? Anything else you want to talk to?
I would just say, it's doable. You and I both talk to customers all the time through our executive briefing center program, and a lot of the customers that we talk to are, either on their way in the same journey, or are kind of inspired by what we've described and say, this is exactly where we want to go, and that's always a fun conversation to kind of share our journey and how we got to where we are today. And also, it's kind of exciting to share with them where we want to go from here. Our journey, certainly, to your point, is not done by any stretch of the imagination. So, if anybody wants to hear more about it, I think we'll do a lot of publication for our NetApp on NetApp program. If you want more information, so we'd love to share it more. Absolutely.
Right. Well, thank you again, Ed. This is fantastic. Hopefully, our audience has found this also interesting. But anyways, thank you for being here, and you guys, I'll see you guys on the next episode.